All right. We are live. The Questionable Podcast. You got Scotty Questions here with Meko. What's good, Meko?
What's good, man?
Nothing, man. We talk a little Lions, a little Super Bowl, a little
Dude,
Super
I don't know
Bowl.
about you. I don't know about you, but I feel like the day after the Super Bowl should 100% be a holiday.
Yeah, I think that we need to get there. I'm with you on that. I mean, why not? I mean,
Like a day of just like emotion, drinking, eating, like whatever you may be partaking in, and then like have to get up the next day on a Monday and go to work.
right.
Either that or like the Super Bowl needs to be like Monday night.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. That's fair. Well, let's get into it in a second, but please, thanks everybody for tuning in. Like, follow, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, head over to questionabletees.com. Check out the coolest Detroit teams merch we got going on, apparel. We got new stuff coming out. We're working hard behind the scenes. We got some updated branding. We're gonna do some really cool stuff this year. So we are getting dialed in for the draft and for the summer preseason, so training camp. But yeah, let's just jump right in, Meko. Right? Let's dig right into it. So let's go. Your thoughts and reactions to Kansas City winning.
Yeah, Kansas City getting the W 38-35. So you were right, it was a field goal game.
I was bound to be
Uh,
right one of these times.
but no, it was, I mean, outside of the ending, right, to the game, like, how, Kansas City basically got to their final field goal and everything like that. It was, for me, it was setting up to be like an all-time great Super Bowl. It was entertaining from beginning to end. Big plays by both teams, specifically on the offensive end. Jalen Hurts was playing amazing. Patrick Mahomes was, being Patrick Mahomes.
Jalen
Travis
Hurts
Kelsey was
balled
showing
out, man. He really
like yeah, like
did.
it was a game where the stars really showed up. The people that you expected to play well played well. And you know, a lot of discussion last night and maybe even a little bit today, a lot of that conversation is built around, that late holding call on James Bradbury. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's not the way you would have wanted to see the game end, but you can't argue that, based on the rules and based on how things played out, like the right team won. I don't think anyone was cheated in this situation. I don't think anyone was robbed, but I think a lot of good things happened for the Eagles. I think there's a lot of things the Eagles can take away from this going into next season to build on that. But at the same time, Patrick Mahomes was able to plant a flag, on his way up the mountain of becoming one of the greatest quarterbacks or being recognized as one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game.
Yeah, I mean, this was the game. I know we talked about this, right? I mean, he had to win this game. This really solidifies it there. Jalen Hurts. I can't believe that fumble, man. That was
Yeah.
when he did that. I was like, "That's the game." I go, "You just lost the game." Now I don't think that was everything, but that was huge. Like just giving them. But I mean, they marched right back down the field after that too. So, I mean, it was. I was happy it was a good game, right? Like it was way over 51,
Yeah.
the 51 points, which is kind of shocking. So, um,
It's shocking, like in the sense of like, yes, like in how we're used to seeing Super Bowls played. We're used to seeing them be way more competitive. I think one thing that you and I were both clearly wrong on is that the Eagles defense didn't, step up nearly as much as we would have liked to have seen them step up. Patrick Mahomes wasn't sacked at all. They didn't create any turnovers. So the things that the Eagles were kind of well known for during the regular season just didn't really come to life on the defensive end in the Super Bowl. And a lot of that has to go again to Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, and Andy Reid of just having a great game plan and understanding how to attack this Eagles defense and knowing how to kind of stay away from their big time playmakers. I mean, I don't know if Darius Slay was targeted in the Super Bowl. Like if we're being completely honest, like maybe
right?
once.
Yeah,
And
maybe.
like
Yeah,
so like that's you can sit there and knock the Eagles defense for maybe not getting enough pressure or capitalizing on pressure, but at the same time you do got to kind of tip your hat to Andy Reid and the Chiefs on just their ability to have an amazing game plan and execute it at a very high level.
Yeah, I agree. Um, man, what was your favorite? Give me a couple of your favorite parts of the game. Like, what were your
I mean, I
highlights?
think I think my favorite moment or favorite highlight has to be Jalen Hurts' touchdown pass to AJ Brown. Because when you like talk about, so as Lions fans, right, and as people who have been critical of Jared Goff, like we sometimes are very critical of the fact of like, hey, he's not making the big time play. He's not giving his receivers a chance to make a play on the ball as often as we would like him to. Jalen Hurts put that on display in that one throw to AJ Brown where he just complete moonshots this to him. And you like, I feel like the ball like disappeared on my TV, and I'm like, where the hell is he throwing that?
Right.
And you see AJ Brown downfield and you see double coverage, you're just like, that's a horrible throw. But then you realize it's AJ Brown and he adjusts to the ball perfectly and it's a touchdown. And it's just like, dude, like that's I think it was like not too long after that I texted in our group chat where I was like, win, lose, or draw, like Jalen Hurts is establishing himself as one of the like best quarterbacks in the league in this game. Cause like he's not just doing with his legs, he's doing it with his arm too. And so for me, that was a huge standout play where I'm just like, dude, like Jalen Hurts has arrived.
Yeah, I mean I think what's interesting, and we touched on it last week. Yes, I agree with you, but it was interesting to see the Eagles, who have not been there in a while,
Hmm.
and to see Kansas City just unfazed. They've been there, right? They had that. They were never out of the game, right? Like and the Eagles started the way they were supposed to, keeping Mahomes on the bench and
Yep.
keeping the ball moving on the ground. I think that's what kind of fell apart in the second half. They couldn't get the run game really going. Um, I do think though Mahomes, highlight for me is just Mahomes using his legs. I know Jalen did
Yeah.
too, but Mahomes to go right up the middle, like the times he needed to, he did. He moved. He looked good. I know his leg got rolled up on right before halftime. I think right is
Yeah.
when that,
Yeah.
and I'm sure he got shots. If he didn't get it at halftime, if he didn't get it before the game, he definitely. I mean, you would think that he was like, all right, shoot it up, like let's go, like
I mean, you have to. I mean, like
you'd
obviously,
have
like
to.
he's not gonna come out and say that, but
No,
like
but
he's gonna say like they're gonna say the traditional thing that players say, like, yeah, I got some treatment. Like, bro,
took
you
like
could barely make it to the
seven
sideline.
shots, yeah, and then the second half. Yeah, I mean, I have it actually on. It's replaying on NFL Network. It's already a classic, and so it's actually just happened. He just got rolled up on, and he is in pain. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
No, I
that
think it.
was
I
that
again
was
outside of
cool.
the end, yeah, outside of the end, like I think this was really lining up to be one of the like all time great classic matchups where you have two young quarterbacks. Let's not gloss over the fact first Super Bowl where you have African American starting quarterbacks on both teams,
Oh,
and
okay, okay. I didn't
and
even think
and
about
just
that.
yeah, and they're playing out of their minds, right? Like to your point, running and passing, right? Jalen made some plays with his legs. He also made some plays with his arms, and Patrick did the same. And it was a huge thing that I don't know if the Eagles really prepared for because you don't see Patrick run often. Like he's so good in the pocket. He's so great from making these off-platform throws, making these throws on the run that he rarely ever has to scramble. But clearly he had so much running room that, he saw lanes and he took them. So it I will say, like I said, I enjoyed it. It was great for football. It was great just as a fan to be able to watch. I'm not gonna lie though, I had to like suppress my desire for wanting a running quarterback watching the Super Bowl because it's just like every third and one, Jalen Hurts, quarterback sneak, every third and short or fourth and one or fourth and short, like you have to account for Jalen Hurts' legs.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes, you know, having the ability to not just get like three or four, but again, getting like 10, 15 yards because he's mobile, but they don't think of him as being mobile. It was just little things like that where I'm like, man, um, I'm not going to sit here and say that the Lions need that, but it would be so welcomed if they did. It would be such an amazing like weapon to have, attached to your offense.
I think also, Mikio, that's just part of the game now. Like that is like we talked about
Hmm.
this, I think, 2 weeks ago in regards to quarterbacks and how they need to be mobile and they're just more athletic coming out of school. I just that's what it is now. And so because it gets you out of those situations that you're talking about. It's yeah, I mean you don't have to have it, right? But it's a
Yeah.
you'd like to have. I mean the situations we find ourselves in as Lions fans, and I mean we got to get tricky on the third and longs or the fourth downs, where you would have then if you had a mobile quarterback, you just have that much more room to play with in regards to play calling. And let's not forget too about Travis Kelce. I mean, come on.
6 receptions, 81 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, and this is the thing too. Travis still has so many years left to play. I think Travis Kelce will find himself in a Rob Gronkowski situation where he will have accomplished so much in the NFL that he'll probably walk away from the game earlier than he probably has to. Because the one thing that like Travis hasn't had to deal with that Gronk dealt with was injury.
Well, yeah, Gronk's
And Travis
back.
has,
Yeah, his back, his arm.
knock on wood, has been able to stay healthy so far in his career, not have to suffer, crazy injuries on
Knock
his
on wood.
legs or
Yeah.
his back, and so I saw a clip from I think it was First Take this morning where Ryan Clark said, in his opinion, Travis Kelce is the greatest tight end to ever play. And from a talent perspective, I don't know how you argue it. Accolades wise, like yes, like Shannon Sharp, I believe has more Super Bowls than he, or I know Shannon Sharp has more Super Bowls than he does.
Yeah, but
Um,
for how long? I mean, Kansas City. I mean, when Tyreek Hill left, you would think like they're gonna drop down a little bit. I mean, they just won the Super Bowl. Where they
yeah,
it's and they get to go back to the well again. Free
yeah.
agency. Who doesn't want to go to Kansas City with Mahomes,
No,
right?
I
Like
mean
it's
I agree. Like when you have an offensive mind like Andy Reid, when you have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, when you have, I mean, it's literally the Travis Kelce show, and they still couldn't quite stop it. I mean, like he popped off in the first half, and then I think Travis was able to play decoy the rest of the game. Pancaro was really like running the ball well. Juju started getting a couple touches, and I think like things started to open up. And to your point, like I don't think Philly really adjusted to what Kansas City was doing offensively, and then you have Patrick running a little bit more. I think they were just a little like discombobulated a little bit, but yeah, it's a team that where you're just like, dude, like we talked about it last week. I think the Chiefs will have a harder time getting to the Super Bowl because you have teams like the Bengals, the Bills. If the Ravens are able to keep Lamar Jackson, you got to contend with that. Who knows what the Broncos will be now that they have Sean Payton and if Russell Wilson can bounce back. But if you have Patrick Mahomes, if you have Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid is still calling the shots, you feel good about your chances. You feel really good. At the very least, you feel really good about your chances of at least making it to the AFC Championship.
yeah. You got to. I mean, just look at what they've done. I mean, with MVS, Kadarius Toney, Juju. I mean, it's not like an all-star cast, I mean,
No,
Kadarius Toney,
Sky
Sky
Moore
Moore,
is a
they
rookie
just
year.
yeah, but they made big plays, right? When they had to.
Hmm.
Kadarius Toney in that return, good for him, and a touchdown. I mean, I do think like we talked about, last week I was happy for Andy Reid, right? And Mahomes. I thought that this was big for them. But Sirianni was out coached in the second half. I mean, like Andy Reid really, I thought he did
I
a good.
mean, but was he though? Because
Well, was he?
I mean,
The play calls. Okay, all right, maybe not out coached, but his offensive play calls were pretty. I mean, they were wide open touchdowns. Like the
no,
scheme
for sure. But I just feel like
were those busted coverages. I mean, it was.
I no, I think it was like excellent play calling and excellent like just maybe it is a little bit of out coaching, but I don't know. I just think it's like it's more, I don't want to say out coaching because I just think it should be more of a hat tip to Andy Reid than like a slight on Nick Sirianni.
That's
Like
fair. I mean, he's a younger coach though, right? First time Super Bowl, younger coach, right? First year.
yeah, younger coach, and let's boil this game down to its simplest form. Like this game came down to a turnover that was returned for a touchdown and an amazing punt return, right? Like, if Kansas City doesn't get those two
Yeah.
things, the Eagles were going to run away with this, and maybe not run away with it, but they were going to probably win by a touchdown. Like that's how like as problematic as or as much as we were saying like the Eagles defense wasn't doing a ton, the Chiefs weren't doing a ton either. Like it wasn't,
Yeah.
it wasn't like they were completely shut out. Jalen Hurts and that Eagles offense were able to do what they wanted to do. Maybe they didn't run the ball as
My
well as they would have
gosh,
liked.
3 touchdowns. Can we talk about that?
Dude, he is,
You can't
I'm
stop him.
telling you,
You can't stop.
he
Like,
is I think we talked about it last week, and we talked about like, is Jalen Hurts the best quarterback in the NFC? And it's hard to say he's not. He's young, he's mobile,
well, I think
he
he
can
is.
throw it.
Yeah, no, I think he is. Right. I mean, after the Super Bowl, I think number
I mean,
two.
yeah, I think,
I think you could
yeah,
argue number 2 is Stafford. Really, I mean, and
yeah,
I'm not a really huge Stafford fan, but like he was injured, but he is a good quarterback.
yeah, when healthy, like that's something that I think that's going to be worth talking about as the season gets closer, as we get after the draft and all that type of stuff. But it's like the NFC is wide open. Like if you're the Eagles, I think you retool a little bit, but I think like you can make another run at it as long as everyone's healthy, because you have, again, like we're saying, like you either have the best or the second best quarterback in your conference,
Right.
and like there's no reason that you probably couldn't do this again.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean, like San Francisco is going to be there next year. I mean, we're saying the Lions will be there. So like you have San
the
Francisco, you have the
Lions.
Lions.
Yeah, the Lions cracked the top 10 too for odds to make the Super Bowl, or
I
9.
mean, it's I think they're set up well. In
Yeah.
the NFC, the way the NFC is built right now. Now, granted, we got to see how stuff shakes up. If Derek Carr decides to go to the Saints, or if he decides to come somewhere in the NFC, like how does that propel things? What does free agency look like? What does the draft look like? But if you're the Eagles, I think you have to feel good about yourself. It sucks that you didn't win it, but you were right there. It was literally in your hands. It
And
you're
then
you're a
and
holding
then you
penalty away.
dropped it, Jalen. You dropped it. Yeah, the
So hold on,
penalty. I don't
I want to give
know.
a little bit of acknowledgement to our YouTube audience. So
Right.
Don Bird says
Shout
in
out to
our
Mike and Don Burr. Thanks for tuning in.
yeah, we appreciate you guys. So Don Bird says running quarterbacks will become a fad, like drafting running backs high in the draft. I don't know if that it will though.
It's
I think what is going to end up happening, and I think what you are seeing in the NFL is that coaches and GMs are becoming smarter about how they utilize running quarterbacks. It used to be like you would just run these guys into the ground, a la Lamar Jackson, and you would get basically the same shelf life out of a running quarterback as you would a running back,
right.
because that's all they would utilize them for. But I think you're seeing the Jalen Hurts, the Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen doesn't care about his body. Like that's a personal that's a personal choice. He doesn't care about his body.
Right.
But like I think you're starting to see like Russell Wilson, there's enough evidence that like, hey, you can have a mobile quarterback, and that doesn't mean that you have to run read option 30 times a game. Like you can still just do rollouts. You can keep your quarterback mobile, but not have to like run him up the middle and expose him to hits.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said earlier, I think it's something that just these younger generation of quarterbacks are just more athletic in general and can, if they have to, use their legs to move the chains. Um,
No,
but
I agree.
but yeah.
But
So but anyway,
should we
thank you
switch
guys for
gears?
tuning in. Yeah, let's rock and roll in some line stuff. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, so that's Super Bowl, but like let's get into a little bit of Lions talk. So obviously last week, the NFL honors were they were handing out all of their big time rewards, and we had two Lions that were up. Well, technically three Lions
3.
that were up for
Yeah,
reward, but like Dan Campbell didn't technically crack like the top four.
which is
Uh,
bullshit.
yeah, we'll get to that in a minute, but I mean, the first one we have to address is Ben Johnson. So Ben Johnson lost Assistant Coach of the Year to D'Amico Ryans, of who is currently now the head coach of the Houston Texans, but formerly the defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers. Uh, this had Twitter up in arms. This had the fan base up in arms, because I think a lot of people felt like Ben Johnson, with the job he did with this offense, especially considering where they were a year ago, he should have gotten way more recognition um, for the job he did. I gotta ask you point blank. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think he was snubbed, or do
Ben
you think the right coach won this award?
Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
I think he was. I think he deserved it.
You think he
I don't.
deserved it over D'Amico Ryans?
I mean, yeah,
Stand on it.
yeah,
10
I
toes
do.
down, stand on
Yeah,
it.
no, I do. I do. I mean, you know, the turnaround of the Lions and the turnaround of Jared Goff and a little bit of resurgence of his career.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that he should have been. You know, we'll talk about the other ones, but yeah, I think Ben Johnson. I don't know if he's snubbed, but I think he should have won. You know, like I don't know if you call it a snub, but like they voted, it is what it is. But I think he should have won that award compared to the
Yeah.
others that are really close. This is
Yeah.
the one of the three that I thought we should have won. Yes.
Yeah. This is the one where if we had won, I'd have been like, that makes sense. I'm not mad that he didn't win because for him to at least finish in second is at least acknowledgement. Like nobody wants to hear that, but the job that D'Amico
First
Ryans did
loser.
with the San Francisco, yeah, but what the job that D'Amico Ryans did with that defense when that defense basically had to carry the load for that team. And you see how far that team got with that defense basically leading the charge. Um, and you're rolling out a third string quarterback. Again, I don't think it's a knock on Ben Johnson as much as it's a praise for the job that D'Amico Ryans did and for the success that team had. I think if the Lions had been more successful than they
I
were,
was just gonna say that if we made the playoffs, yeah,
yeah. Or again, maybe if you just don't have that rough start at the beginning of the year where you lose what six in a row,
yep,
then maybe Ben Johnson gets more credit. But because they lost so many games in the beginning of the year, it's kind of hard to really get him those extra votes. But I mean, again, he got 11 first place votes.
yeah,
Like, so it's not like he wasn't like even really considered. Like, he was considered. There were some people who agree that, you know what, Ben Johnson probably should have won this award. I just think the job that D'Amico Ryans did and the success that that team had, and you look at the success they had versus the adversity that they ran into, it was just like, well, yeah, that defense is playing above their means. Whereas with the Lions, yes, the offense was playing above their means, and yes, Jared Goff was having this resurgence of his career. But a lot of the reason they were losing games was just because they were just not playing well. Like it wasn't necessarily like, oh,
yeah,
well, they're shorthanded defensively. Like, no, the defense just wasn't playing well.
yeah. That's fair.
And I think it's kind of hard to also,
I mean,
and again, this is being very nitpicky, super nitpicky. But again, you look at how this offense performed outdoors and on the road, and those numbers don't look the same. Like at least, I mean, I probably have to go through it a little bit more with a fine tooth comb, but like I'm pretty sure the 49ers defense played consistently, whether they were home, whether they were away, whether they were indoors, whether they're outdoors. The Lions offense was a little sporadic. They were amazing at home and when they were indoors in that 1 week when they were against the Giants. But most of these other games, it was kind of up and down.
all right, that's fair. I mean, and again, these are the votes, right? Like it is what it is. We can't we can't change it, obviously. But yeah, I thought Ben could have won it. You know, I thought that yeah he could have won it. Now you want to hop on to Hutch to the
Now
Hutch?
Hutch is the one. Hutch is the one I think people need to just chill out.
Yeah, calm
Like
down.
we
He
were
should
we
not
were
have. He
calling
should not
this.
have won that award. No.
Listen, if Sauce had lost Defensive Rookie of the Year after getting All Pro, after making the Pro Bowl, and Hutch not getting either of those honors,
Right.
and
You
Sauce
can't.
didn't win, Sauce would have been the one that would have a legitimate gripe about like, bro, so like all we're gonna look at is just statistics. Like we're not going to look at impact and how he played in comparison to his peers. Like John said it a couple weeks ago when we were talking about Sauce. Sauce isn't just a great rookie corner. Sauce is like has already shot himself up into the conversation of being one of the probably top five corners in the league.
He's an elite corner. Yeah, he's a
Like
top fiver, top
going back to the
fiver.
Super Bowl, going back to the Super Bowl a little bit, Jason and Travis Kelsey had on their podcast where they were talking about Sauce. And they both were just like, dude, like if you wanted a corner, if you could build a corner, you would probably build them like Sauce. He's tall, he's got long arms, he can play man, he can play zone, he's physical,
Straight
like
saucy too. You gotta love
amazing
his.
nickname.
You gotta love his chain at the like
And like, so
Pro
I get
Bowl.
it, right? I think we look at what Hutch did on the field, and I'm not trying to like belittle what Hutch did
He
by
was
at all. I think in any other year where you didn't have a corner playing at the level that Sauce was playing at, Hutch wins it in a runaway, like just in the same manner in which Sauce won it.
right.
Like Sauce ran away with this. Hutch only got 3 first place votes, which I
He
thought it was going to be a little closer than that. I thought he was going to get a few more votes than that.
well, but think of. I mean, he was hot and cold, up and down, huge games, then nothing. I mean, to me, it was the consistency, right? Like,
Yeah.
and here's he got 3 first place votes. He got votes. Like he's in the conversation. That's all we can really hope for, guys. Like he's a good draft pick. Help the team, right? In those big moments we talked about. Who is he going to step up in the big moments? Look at the Packers game. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
I mean, he did. He showed up in Lambeau. That's all. That's all we want. Should he have won that award? No. That's why I get 3 votes.
I mean,
Come on.
again, I think in any other year,
All Lions fans are all biased. I get it, but like, come on, come on.
I, I mean, it is, right? Like that's the type of stuff where I get it. I understand why you would want your guy to win this award, right? Because it's a huge notch in the belt of like, hey, this is why Detroit for real. This is why Detroit is coming because we have. But to say that your rookie finished second in defensive rookie of the year race, that your offensive coordinator finished second in the assistant coach of the year award, and your head coach, which we're going to get to in a minute, was at least top 10, in coach of the year voting, you're getting the acknowledgement. You're getting people kind of taking notice of what you're doing. It's not,
We're in the mix. Come on,
we're in
guys.
the mix. Thank you.
We're in
You
the
have
mix.
to do something though. Like 9 wins is amazing. 9 wins got you in the mix.
Right, and I think why we don't, to your point, we don't get these awards because we lost 6 in a row. Like if you put together a full season this year, yes, then I think these awards are a little different, both for Dan and Ben. I mean, maybe even Aiden, but I do think Sauce deserved it though. So straight up,
I do,
congrats.
and I think and again,
Hot Sauce.
shout out to Mark LeBay, who's in our YouTube chat saying it's a little embarrassing to vote a defensive rookie of the year, a cornerback with fewer interceptions than a defensive end. And I will say, but did you watch Sauce play? Like, did you see like his performance? Like, I
They
get it.
wouldn't
I
throw
think
to him. Like they just
Aiden,
we didn't throw to him. They just did.
right.
Like he's that
Aiden
good.
has amazing numbers. Aiden does. And again, like I said earlier, I think in any other year, Aiden wins this rookie of the year in a landslide. Like it wouldn't have even been close with any other rookie. But I said it a few weeks ago, when you have a corner playing at that high of a level as a rookie, it just doesn't happen. I don't care what his numbers say when he is allowing so few touchdowns, when he has such an amazing passer rating against him, when, like you're saying, when teams are literally just choosing not to throw to his side of the field,
Right.
that's acknowledgement of your greatness. And I've heard people say this on Twitter, like, well, he only plays one side of the field and he only plays cover three and blah 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 blah. That was the same argument they had against Richard Sherman. That was the same stuff they were saying against Richard Sherman, and there's no way any of us can argue that Richard Sherman wasn't an elite corner. Because you can sit there and argue about like, well, he only plays one side of the field and he only plays this style of coverage, but you still never challenged him. And when you did challenge him, more often than not, he made you pay.
Yeah. Mark added again. I get that Sauce is deserving, but still the DE had more interceptions. Yeah, he did.
He did.
He did.
He did. He had an
And it's
amazing
great
year.
for us. And it's great for us. That's amazing. I love it.
It's another thing. Like, right,
amazing.
it's an
It's fine.
amazing thing for us.
We
because
didn't
guess
expect
what?
that. We didn't. That wasn't in the scouting report when we got Aiden. Guy
No.
can catch passes like interception machine for.
And it's amazing for our defense, because guess what? Going into next year and teams start game planning for the Lions, they also have to be like, hey, be weary of 97 dropping back in coverage, because he has amazing eyes and he has amazing hands.
He's gonna catch that. Yeah.
So it's great. Like I said, I get it. It's not the outcome we would have wanted as fans. It would have been awesome to be able to, have that type of celebratory reaction with these guys for winning these awards. But again, it doesn't take away from the success and the foundation that they've laid for themselves um going into the future, right? I think Aiden has a lot of stuff that he can still build upon. He can get stronger, he can get faster. He can work on a few more pass rush moves. Him and James Houston can get together and just kind of pick each other's brain on like how they want to attack defenses. But the future's bright. Future's really bright when you consider, you know, the players and the coaches that you have on the staff.
Hutch, Bugs, and the problem.
But speaking of coaches, I mean, we got to talk about Dan Campbell. Like we said, when we teased a little earlier. So Dan finished seventh
Motor
in the Coach
City.
of the Year voting. Is that too low?
Yes, way too low.
It feels like it, right? Like
Way too low. I don't care who you are. Dude should be at least in the top 3. Come on. Come
I'm trying to
on.
remember who was all like Sirianni was in the mix. I believe Kyle Shanahan was in the mix. Brian Dable won it, and I cannot remember who the fourth coach was, but I remember
Doug
whoever it was.
Peterson, was he in there? I mean,
Yes, it was Doug Peterson, and I
I
remember,
thought he would win.
yeah, and I remember feeling like they had the same record. I think us and Jacksonville have the same record. Jacksonville obviously went to the playoffs because their division sucks.
Straight up.
But I felt like Dan deserved to be in that mix more than Doug Peterson. I'm sorry. Like I get it. Jacksonville basically went from first overall draft pick to in the playoffs.
The NFL.
But I think if you take inventory of
Yeah.
like how bad this Lions team was last year,
Right.
like from a talent perspective, how terrible they were and what Dan was able to do, I get it. And especially how that first half of the season looked. And
Yeah.
for Dan to never lose his cool, for him to be able to rally the troops, for him to trust his coaches and trust his players and not make too many drastic changes, I would have loved to see him get more recognition than seventh.
Yeah, I agree. I do. I mean, I think that 6-game skid, that's part of the problem here too, right? You could argue that he got him out of it, but like, we started off like poorly again, like last season. I mean, it's 2 bad starts. So, you know, I don't know.
I mean, I think it's confident
here's
enough to say that. Go ahead.
I'm saying if we can have a great season, get to the playoffs, make a run, I think next year he could be in the conversation then for, you could argue, regrouping the lines. I think that next year could be actually realistic. Now, I don't think that he should have, I don't think he should have won, but he should have been in the top 3, if not the top 2, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll say top 4 for sure. Because, like, again, the job that Nick Sirianni did, obviously, like, yeah, when your team wins that many games, obviously you're going to be in the mix.
But that team is just stacked. Come on. Like, let's be real.
It is, but but you still got to win the games.
That's true, but that team is stacked.
And they were dominating people. It wasn't like they were just winning. Like, they were dominating people, too.
Well, and that's an interesting conversation. We didn't talk about it in the Super Bowl, but the Eagles' schedule was kind of, they didn't play too many top defenses, right? And I wouldn't say that Kansas City is a top defense, but they're a good defense. They're a solid defense, right? That they can get the job done, and they did, right? I think that's something that we didn't touch on that I did want to mention.
Yeah, I would put them as a above average defense, like a good defense. I don't know if I would put them as like great, but they're good. Chris Jones is a monster.
Chris Jones is a monster, and they create turnovers somehow. Like, they're really good at getting the turnover. Like, in fantasy football, they're a great team to have because they always get a touchdown. Or like, how do they they're playmakers, which is interesting.
No,
that
absolutely.
they get it done. But anyway,
but yeah, so but I agree with you about Dan. Like, I think if the Lions get double-digit wins next year, Dan Campbell might just run away with that award.
That's what
especially if it's
saying.
Consistent.
Yeah,
especially if it's consistent. Like, again, obviously they may lose a couple games. They may even lose 2 in a row, something like that. But if they're consistently winning,
that's fine. It's just not 6. Like, come on, like
you can't lose that many in a row.
No,
you absolutely cannot.
We could get away with losing 3, but you can't any more than that. Like, you cannot 4, 5, and 6. Are you kidding me? It's a miracle the team didn't quit. Like, and that is because of Dan Campbell. So
it's a huge testament to him.
It is, and why he should be in the top. Meko says top 4. I say top 3, but potato, whatever.
Yeah, no,
whatever.
I agree. No, for sure.
Forget about it.
All right, man. So enough about the
Awards.
awards and the little bit of debate about who got snubbed and who didn't. Um, it's off season. We are fully in off season mode. The next big thing that's going to happen, as far as that at least relates to the Lions as of right now, is free agency. Free agency takes place, I believe, March 15th. So we're about about a month out, like exactly from free agency starting. Um, I thought it'd be kind of dope to kind of run through the roster, go through, we're going to focus on the offense today, but just kind of go position group by position group and just kind of give our thoughts on the positions, where they currently stand, where we think the Lions probably need to add some players, if some players need to get let go, just kind of have a free flowing conversation
Bye
about some of these
bye.
players.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, just offense today. We'll do we want to
we'll
do
do defense
defense
next
next
week.
week? Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we can
So this way
talk
we don't
about
hold our we don't
and
hold our
next week we're
audience
going
too
to
long.
talk about the coaching staff too. I'd like to get into that next week.
Oh yeah, screw you, Tampa Bay, for trying to take Scotty Montgomery
Yeah,
before he's
for
even like
those
officially
that
started.
don't know, tell the listeners.
Yeah, so apparently Tampa
They
Bay
probably
has
heard.
already conducted an interview with Scotty Montgomery, the Lions' new assistant head coach and running backs coach, to be their offensive coordinator, which just seems ridiculous. Like it just feels like one of those things that you shouldn't be allowed to do.
Right.
Like the dude hasn't even
Dude
got to
doesn't even
coach
have
here.
an updated profile pic with a Lions shirt. He's still got a Colts shirt. And he's like,
And you guys are talking about taking him as your OC.
no.
Hey, wait your turn. We had to wait hours to get him. Wait your turn.
Yeah, you
If you want him
missed.
next year, then you can have him.
Did he interview though? So he went?
Yeah. Yeah, he interviewed.
Well, I mean, I guess you got to, right?
I mean, listen,
If you're hit,
this is not
you're
a no, this
Scotty,
is
you
not
got to
against yeah, there's nothing
nothing
against
against
Scotty
Scotty.
Montgomery.
No, but
No.
like this is against Tampa,
Yeah, screw you guys. There's so many other
straight
offensive
up.
coordinators out there, and you decide to you're gonna try to pick off ours.
Yep.
Yeah, so screw Tampa Bay. Just because you lost Tom Brady doesn't mean you have to take our running backs coach. You better find another way to cope.
Yeah, get out of here.
Um, but yeah, let's go.
All right.
Let's run through this lineup. Let's start off with quarterback. So currently, Jared Goff, I believe, is
Quarterback.
the only quarterback that is under contract next year. Nate Sudfeld is a free agent, and he was pretty much all we had. I'm pretty sure there was somebody on the practice squad, but nobody of noteworthy. Um, what do you think the Lions do going into the offseason with this position?
Uh, oh boy. I think they look to the draft for a QB. I don't know when they get it, but I think we get a QB in the draft. I think we have to. We got to plan for the future. Now's the time with the Lions too. If we can get, some free agents together, I think we got momentum, right? And momentum can be hard to get in the NFL, right? And I think that now's the time we need to get moving on that. I think Goff is solid, but is Goff going to win us the Super Bowl? I don't think so. So I think that we got to start planning for that. So I think they got to look to the draft. I don't think they're going to sign Derek Carr. I don't think that, you know what I mean? You're not going to get somebody like that. I don't think.
You don't think they'll go after like Baker Mayfield as a backup? As a backup?
Stop.
He
Get
was like all the rage
Baker
last year.
out of
Last year, like
here.
they already
Get
got like the mock-ups of Baker in a Lions uniform.
stop. Stop it.
It exists, man.
I mean, okay. Baker's going to stay in LA, dude. He doesn't want to be in Detroit. I don't want him in Detroit. I'm good. I'm good.
No, I'm with you. I think well, I'll piggyback off this. I do think they get someone in the draft, but I also think they're going to sign a veteran. And it may end up being Nate Sudfeld again. I the one like gripe that I have with Brad Holmes, and it's a petty gripe, but it's a gripe that I have, is like I don't
Uh-oh.
think
Watch
they
out,
care.
Brad.
I don't think
Look
they
out.
care about backup quarterback as much as the fans do. And granted, like the backup quarterback is like the one thing that like fans will fawn over just as like for like no reason really. And so I'm not saying that they need to go out and get a higher profile one. I'm not saying that they need to spend a high draft pick on one. I have my preference on like guys that I like in the draft versus guys that I like in free agency, but like I would like to see them get someone young, not necessarily to groom them to be like Jared's replacement, but even if you can just find somebody young that you feel like, hey, if Jared were to go down, if we find ourselves in a Los Angeles Rams situation, we find ourselves in a San Francisco 49ers situation, we have a young guy who can go out there and still be like effective. He can still run the offense in a way that that puts us in position to win games. There's not too many veteran quarterbacks out there that can do that. Not that like that I'm super comfortable with. Teddy Bridgewater was a guy like that for a while, but like looking at like
He can't. Yeah, he can't
he
do it
can't stay
now.
healthy.
Right.
He can't stay healthy. Jacoby Brissett would be somebody that'd be kind of interesting. I'm not super,
Meh,
like I said, they could end up bringing
meh.
back Nate Sudfeld, but I'm not like confident in Nate Sudfeld.
No. No.
And I will say this now,
Uh-oh.
for the right money, I wouldn't mind Baker being here. For the right money. I'm
Stop.
not saying you have to go get him.
Go away.
I'm
No.
just saying
Oh my
because
gosh. I don't want Baker in Detroit. I just don't want him in Detroit. Like, I don't want to run into a Baker Mayfield. I don't.
that's fair. That's fair.
I don't even want to run into that guy. So I do not want him here just in general, let alone as a backup. I don't think he's leaving LA. I think they keep him over there, but
I don't think he leaves LA either. And if he does leave LA, he's probably going to go somewhere where he has like a legitimate shot to compete for a starting quarterback position.
right.
Tampa. Um,
Tampa.
but he's the type of backup quarterback where it's just like, if something were to happen to Jared Goff, again, knock on wood, I think you could still run your offense effectively. I think Baker could still be adequate enough to salvage a 9-win season for you. Because like the last thing that I think we want as Lions fans going into next season, we're all high on this team's potential. We're all high on this team's future.
Right. If Goff gets hurt, we're hosed. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Right now, it's season's over. Like if it's Sudfeld or someone in that regard. Yeah, I get your point about having a player like Baker with that talent to be the backup. Yes. I mean, what are other options out there for
off the top of my head, I believe, like I said, I believe
let's talk about it.
Jacoby Brissett is a free agent, I believe.
I was unimpressed in his Cleveland work.
Yeah, there's not like again, backup quarterback isn't something that you go out and get and you're just
who
like
is Dak's backup? Who played?
Oh,
that's who I'm talking about.
Cooper Rush,
Yeah, like I like that.
Mike White. Mike White wouldn't be bad.
I mean,
I would take Mike White.
Like I would rather have that than a Baker, right? The guy that'll actually stay in the background. What?
Fair.
Right?
Fair.
Like
That's fair.
Then like know your role, but I'm gonna come in and take control, right? Like White totally did, was a boss.
Yeah.
You know, something like that. And so I'm wondering, Meko, if this year is there someone in the draft like that we can get second pick in the first round, first pick in the second. Do you see what I mean? Like not using
if you're looking
pick.
if you're looking first pick or second pick in the first round, I mean I think the name that's probably going to jump out to a lot of people that I wouldn't mind. Again, I have to put this disclaimer out that I am not saying the Lions need to draft a quarterback in the first round of the NFL draft.
No, we're talking second round. First pick, second round is what we said.
Oh, okay, first pick, second round.
Yeah.
Oh, there's only like one. I was gonna say. Well, I'll finish my point. I'm not saying they need to in the first round.
Yeah.
But a quarterback that I would take if they picked him and I would be excited is Anthony Richardson. I would be geeked beyond belief about the possibility of having Anthony Richardson on this team to develop and learn behind Jared Goff.
Yeah, I mean, you think he's available at 18?
Oh yeah.
You think he'd be available not at the beginning of the second round?
No, he's definitely gonna be not. No, but I think 18 maybe, because I think a lot of the teams that need quarter. I mean, worst case scenario is like what Oakland maybe takes him. But that's if Bryce Young and CJ Stroud goes. Before that, there's a lot of people that say Will Levis is better.
Vegas?
Yeah, sorry, I said Oakland.
No, you're good. I was like, Oakland University? What?
No, so if Vegas goes out and when they want one, who knows what Carolina does? So yeah, there's a possibility that he's not there. But
anyway,
that's a guy.
So I'm with you.
A guy.
Yeah, I think that'd be interesting. I think that's fair. I think there's a need, right? And if we want to win, that's a position we need to solidify.
Yeah, you at least need to you have your
invest.
starter.
We got to invest in it, right? I mean, come on, we got we got Goff off the U shelf. I mean, he's done well, right? But like, you know,
I mean, I think they're gonna ride this out until they don't have to, right? So you have your starter for this for next season. I
yeah,
think you could afford to go out and get a veteran backup and then maybe even draft somebody young. Draft a rookie somewhere. And knowing the Lions, I would be shocked if it's in the first 2 rounds. It would probably be somebody in the fifth, sixth round. And I don't even know. I don't like, I mean, just in general, I don't like the idea of drafting a backup quarterback in the fourth, fifth round, like fifth, sixth round. Like you're better off than just getting somebody undrafted, in my opinion.
agreed. I'm not. No, no,
And
no. You got to invest in it. You can't just like no, no.
I mean, again, there's been teams that have hit on it, but like
I
if you're
know Brady,
really
dude. Brady, that's a needle in a haystack. Yeah, right. That's gonna happen again. Come
Brady,
on.
Dak, Brock Purdy this year,
I mean,
Russ,
it can
Russ was like what,
happen.
third or fourth?
So it can happen. Okay, maybe a little less
Sure.
than a needle in a haystack, but you got to know what you're doing there. I don't know.
I'm sure there's far more misses than there are hits.
I would
I
probably
I feel like I could
agree,
say that
but
with like fair certainty. There's a lot of misses in those late rounds where they're not even
yeah,
backup quarterbacks.
yeah. Okay. All right.
Um,
Enough of the QB. I'm done with it. I'm sure our
let's
listeners
go
are
to the
too.
running backs. Let's go to the running
Our
backs.
biscuits.
So we have Jamal Williams,
Yeah, got to sign him.
coming off of a 1,000-yard season, breaking Barry Sanders' record. You have DeAndre Swift, suffered some injuries, but still had 8 touchdowns, I believe, on the season. Uh, you have Craig Reynolds, who came back from injury late, but didn't really get any more playing time,
Come
and this
on,
was largely due to
Craig.
just Justin Jackson. Uh, what do you see the Lions doing with the running back position?
Oof. I think they draft a running back. I think here's the thing. They invest in running backs, whether free agency or draft, because here's the thing. The RPO with Goff is that's the engine to our offense. We need to invest in running backs as well, because that is, that's the engine. You got to keep it going. So Jamal did a great job. Swift, reliability issues, right? Already. He's not
Mm-hmm.
that old. So I'm not saying that we should do this, but if they were to, trade Swift for somebody else to get, like if there was something that happened to get some more, to get running back currency
Yeah, to get
back.
some more picks.
Yeah, something there. I would be okay with it. I love Swift. I think he is a playmaker. He's the most talented running back we have, and he can make magic happen. He did it. But, like, his reliability, that's a problem. So, if they are going to keep him, right, you got to invest in somebody else that's going to be like an every down back like Jamal and somebody else than Swift. You sprinkle some Swift on top, Like, that's just kind of how I feel. So, this has to be addressed. I don't know what they're going to do. Obviously, we can't read their minds. But, free agency. What are some running backs in free agency?
So there's some big names in free agency.
That'd be interesting. I'm curious right now. Talk to me.
I know Jerry Jacobs is a free agent. I know Saquon Barkley is a free agent. You obviously also have, I believe, Miles Sanders is a free agent. So there's some big name running backs out there. I want to say Donta Foreman from the Carolina Panthers is also a
Oh
free
my
agent.
gosh, who ran all over us? Yeah, let's get that guy.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt, Rashad Penny,
We don't want Kareem Hunt.
Raheem Mostert wouldn't be a bad pick. Boston Scott, Samaje Perine.
Boston Scott's good. He doesn't get enough run in Philly. P. Ryan's good too. Senzi. That's a lot. Okay.
Jeff Wilson. The running back. Listen, the running
Mostert's
back,
good. I like Mostert. He's in Miami right now. I like Mostert. A lot of these guys are injury prone. I mean, my favorite there is Jacobs, but like he gets injured, his calf issue.
Yeah, no, I think again, I don't think the Lions spend big because they're already got to pay Jamal. I do think they draft. I think they keep the running. I think
you get a
Swift
rookie
and
contract
Swaggy,
and a young guy that you can just like, okay, you're every down. You can abuse them a little bit. I don't mean that negative way, but like, take the run. Give these guys
I think you look at what Kansas City did. Now, granted, they got their running back late, but they already had Jerick McKinnon, who was a captain. Yeah.
Who had a great season.
They already had Jerick McKinnon, who was a captain. They already had Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who was, I mean, he struggled with some injuries, a la Swift. But they had 3 solid running backs that they felt like they could run with, and I think the Lions are missing that third. I think we all like Craig Reynolds as a story and as a player. And again, what we know about his his background and things like that, I think he's a fan favorite. But if you could get a young guy to kind of spell both Swift and Jamal, because Jamal's already taking the
Right.
hard yards, and he was able to be pretty durable this season, but there's no guarantee with his run style that that's like repeatable for next year. Like some of those hits can just go the wrong way. And I think that was a lot of the case with Swift this year. It didn't look like he took too many like big hits, but it's just the wrong hit at the right angle, at the wrong angle, and next thing you know, he's out for a
He's
couple weeks.
Well, I think the problem with Swift is he's so dynamic and he makes so many moves. His ankles and legs are in precarious situations all the time. Jamal is running straight, right? Let's be real. Like it's just straight and he's going in, he's initiating contact, right? Swift is avoiding contact. Let's be honest, right? So that's how he runs. And so in doing that, no, I'm not saying that he's trying to avoid contact. I'm saying that's what when he runs to the outside or wherever he gets it, he's
Yeah,
juking,
he's a
he's
little more
making
shifty.
the
He's not.
right. So he's
Yeah,
using his talents to make plays. But when you get hit in those situations, that to me is higher probability for injury just because his legs and his body is in a more unique situation to get hit or hurt. I think that's part of the problem too with it.
I
Is
mean, yeah, I mean, well, because I mean, well, this year was what shoulder and ankle, right?
he had a separated shoulder, right? He played with a separated
Yeah,
shoulder, which is
yeah.
props to him. Shout out to Swift. Bad. That's a bad man right there. I played with a
So, but
separated
like,
shoulder.
so,
Like
but like that's why I say
was
like
one of like
those
four
are
injuries
that's an
too.
injury that I think Jamal could just as easily suffer. And yes, I think again that's why they don't run DeAndre up the middle anymore, right? Like remember his first
Yeah.
2 years, like they would try to run him everywhere, and it just wasn't working out well for him. He's not built the same way as Jamal. Jamal's a little bit stockier.
Jamal's a
So
beast. Shout out Jamal.
I think the game plan for how they use their running backs is perfect, but I do think you need a third guy to just kind of throw in there as well, just to kind of shift things up a bit.
I want a monster back there. I want a Derrick Henry monster. Like I just want like the biggest guy you can get me. Just the
I mean,
biggest, strongest. Like
I just want someone else. Yeah, I guess in a way, yes, I do. I want someone that is very much like Jamal,
but like
with
bigger. I
but
just
Swift's like
want
agility.
bigger.
Because like the only
Well, oh, that's a unicorn. I mean, that's
I'm
Derrick
just
Henry.
saying,
Like,
the only thing that kills me about Jamal is like Jamal goes is great, straightforward, amazing. You ask Jamal to make a cut,
he's the nah. I'm good.
it
No.
it looks like someone moving in mud, and it's like, bro, he ain't going sideways well.
No, but see, the O line is so good. I just really wish we had like I'm just thinking a big back, just a hammer, right? Like was it
Yeah.
like Jamar Jefferson's a bigger dude, right? Is he the biggest of them running backs we have?
Uh,
No, is
no,
he?
I think Jamal's the biggest of them.
Jamal is? Yeah, no, we need bigger. Anyway,
Yeah, I think, but no, I think you're right. I think they add someone in free agency because I don't think they're going to want to have to pay two running backs.
yeah. So
Like
they're gonna
Jamal's
draft. They're
going to
not
land a
gonna yeah, they're
deal.
gonna draft, right?
Yeah,
Right.
Jamal's going to land somewhere between a 2 to 3 year deal for probably around the same money he got, maybe like
They'll
7, 8 mil.
and I bet they incentivize the heck out of it, right?
Oh
Like
yeah,
because like they want to pay him, but like let's save on the cap, right? So they'll be like, you make the playoffs, boom, Super Bowl, huge bonuses for playoffs. I bet they'll do that for him.
well yeah, I think
Yeah,
he'll have touchdown and rushing yard milestones that he'll also have to
and
hit to
he
kind of.
broke Barry's record. I mean, and good on him. He's like the spokesperson for the Lions. He was on First Take. He was on Good Morning
Mhm.
Football. He did great on First Take. He was a little like nervous at Good Morning Football. I felt bad. He was like sweating. It was like
Yeah, you can tell like
he
that's
was
not
nervous. It
his
was
preferred role.
no,
That's not his
he
preferred
was
role,
better
but
outside in Arizona. He was cool like there, like that was better. But in studio, he was like, "Man, y'all didn't tell me it was gonna be this hot." Like he's like sweating. Oh
no,
no, but
absolutely. Shout out to our guy Luke G in the chat.
oh, what
Appreciate you
up?
stopping by, Luke.
What up, Luke?
All right, so that's running backs. Next is offensive line. And I think offensive line you feel set except for one position, right? And it's right guard.
Yeah, you
Right guard
take
is the
this.
one
Yeah.
position that the Lions absolutely have to zero in on, and they have to find a solution for it. Vitae, once again, struggling with injuries, currently looking like a cap casualty just because of the money that they owe him. I believe it's 12 million that I think that they could save if they cut him or something like that. Yeah, I know, and I've heard from so many people that the Lions like him, right? That he's a great locker room guy. The rest of the offensive line look up to him. Him and Panay have a really good relationship. And Vitae would be the first sign that like would probably be the first cut that they've ever made where you're just like, dude, they cut a really good culture guy.
Yeah,
But
but
I mean, I think you eventually get to a point where availability has to trump
right.
personality.
We got to put a team on the field. Like as much as you want to keep a guy, I mean, and this is part of these are some tough decisions that
Hmm.
Holmes and Dan Campbell are going to have to make right now because look, we love the guys and the crew got us here, but like we want to win, man. Like we want to win playoffs. We want to win the Super Bowl. Like there's not a lot of room. We don't have room in this bus. Like we limited amount of seats, and so it's best man up. Not next man, not
Yeah.
best man up right now.
Now, I will say if Vitae is willing to take a pay cut,
Fine,
then I have no problem with him staying
fine,
on the team.
right.
But at the cap that he has, I think we've said it for the last three positions. I think this is another position where you're looking to draft. And this one feels like the best position where like if they draft someone, they could probably hit on like a really good quality starter just because it seems like finding like good interior offensive linemen, just like if there's a position that grows on trees, it's that one. It just feels like good interior offensive linemen just grow on trees that you can find them just about anywhere. You don't actually have to go looking for one in the first or second round. You can find them in the third and fourth rounds, maybe even fifth round, or later. But that's where I would expect. Again, this is where I kind of expect them to go. I think they would like to stay young. They already have a fairly young offensive line. Again, it gives you some cap flexibility if you can go out and just draft somebody, and it gives you kind of more leeway if Jared Goff plays well, you have to end up paying him, then at least you know, like, well, hey, our offensive line is young.
No, yeah, I'm with you. I don't think there's a huge conversation we need to have here. I think you made the points, right? Like we got what we got. And it's looking good. I mean, really, right? We want to focus in the line to me on defense, right? So,
Yeah.
um,
I think the only other person on the offensive line that's like worth discussing a
yeah,
little
yeah,
is Evan Brown.
okay.
And that's only because he filled in for right guard, but from everything that I've heard and kind of I believe it, Evan Brown is probably going to get offered a lot of money to be a starting center somewhere else.
So I guess okay. So then my question is then to you, Miko, for the O line, where do we need the depth? Where do
I
you
would say
want
right
the
guard and
depth?
center.
Okay,
Right guard and center. And I think
okay.
you could use another like swing tackle, someone who could like, like the Matt Nelson role where like if you want to bring six offensive linemen in, just another dude that can kind of get some push. But again, like that's somebody that you can find super cheap or you can just undrafted free agent. There's a lot of ways that you can fill that position. But I do think you need depth on the interior of your offensive line for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Um, all right, tight ends. This is like,
What? Tight
bro,
ends.
listen, I don't know who's
New
been
tight
I
ends
hate
coach too. New tight ends coach.
listen, I don't know who keeps mocking tight ends to the Lions in this draft. They're not picking one. Whatever tight ends they have, like they're all just getting re-signed. And if they don't
I,
re-sign them, they're gonna find some other tight ends that block well, and they're gonna be like, "We'll pay those guys."
I mean, yeah, I got that. I mean, they did a great job, right? Do your job. They did their job. Pretty.
That's a
I mean,
that's a position by committee. That and running back, those are the two positions by committee.
yeah, but our tight. I mean, it was. It's also interesting to look back on the Hawkinson like trade. Like I was like, oh boy, what are we doing? Nope, didn't matter.
I mean, it didn't matter in the grand scheme of like, yes, like as far as like you could still find touches for these guys, right? And if
Yeah,
anything, more so because they're not prolific tight ends. So you get down in the goal line, and for some reason, people don't think they need to cover a Shane Zylstra. They don't feel like they need to cover a Brock Wright. I think that changes
that changes
next
this
year,
year, but they're still going to get open. I mean, those guys
but
are
I think
solid.
But yeah, I think you have a good mixture of Brock Wright is only, I think, will be going into his third year. You still have James Mitchell, which you just drafted. I think they could easily bring back Shane Zylstra. Like, I don't think any of your tight ends are in danger of getting plucked by another team. Maybe Brock Wright,
Maybe Brock
maybe.
Wright, but regardless, I
But
mean,
I
I don't
think,
know if there's no real tight end free agents I want. I mean, let's be real. Like, I mean, you got Travis Kelce, right? I mean, that's kind of set the standard for the tight end, like the best tight end all time. Like, what else do you need to like? There's not like
I
I
mean,
don't
I
even
think, yeah,
know
like
who's
there
a free agent tight end this year. Like,
nobody that matters.
right?
Again, like nobody that, like again,
Eric
if you're not
Ebron,
Travis Kelce,
Eric
if you're
Ebron, is he still play?
stop it. This fan base would riot.
Eric Ebron, get out of here.
But no, I think tight end is like you're going to see a lot of the same in tight end next year. It may be a mixture of the same cast, or it's going to be some guys that like you probably haven't heard a ton of, but I don't expect the Lions to invest heavily in.
No, they're role players, right? I mean, it's part of the. It's just it is what it
Can I
is,
throw out
man.
one name though that I would be like kind of excited to see on the Lions? And I'm
Yeah.
gonna need you to like you're gonna have to do some research because I know you don't know these like prospects by name.
Okay.
Darnell Washington, the tight end out of Georgia, is
Okay.
a monster of a man. Like a
Yeah. No, I
monster of a
watched
man. And
Georgia
he
play. Yeah, he's a beast. I just want
yeah,
beasts, right? We talked about this. We want game wreckers. Like, let's just get these monsters. Like, just
well, and I
monsters,
think
please.
yeah, and if we're talking about like tight ends that just do their job well, right? He doesn't need a ton of like receptions. He will go out there and just probably block his butt off and
Yeah.
he'll catch the
But
occasional goal line touchdown and stuff like that.
I guess my question is, when do you think he'll go in the draft, though? Like, what pick are we using on that dude? You
So
know what I
this is
mean?
what so this is the thing, this will be the thing that pisses
So-
people off. What
right?
I've seen in mock drafts, when I run mock drafts,
That's what I'm asking.
this dude goes in the second round.
Oh my gosh, we're getting a tight end in the second round. I guess.
Second pick in the second round.
All right. I mean,
If you went
that's not
defense with the first
horrible.
three, second pick with the second round, and you got like a stud of a
Well,
blocking tight end.
defense with the first three, or you got it. If the
Defense, all
quarterback,
right,
well,
defense at
you got
least the first two.
first two
Defense with the and then let's say offensive line with the third
running
would be like
back,
your
like
first.
we're talking. I mean, we need defense. We need defense. Okay, I'm with it. Yeah,
Mhm.
running back we could probably get a little bit later. Tight end, if this beast is available, second pick, second round.
I wouldn't hate it. I would just be like, oh, they're really trying to like move some people.
Yeah, because then
Dude's
yeah.
a monster of a man.
Okay, all right.
Uh,
Moving on.
we got wide receivers to finish things off.
Okay.
Uh, I think the biggest question mark when it comes to the wide receiver group is what do the Lions decide to do with DJ Chark? And I am
DJ
very
Chark, do
torn
do
here
do 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 do. DJ Chark, do 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 do. DJ
because
Chark.
so this is the one position I don't think they address in the draft. I don't think they draft any more receivers. Maybe not like early. Like I guess you could kind of throw a sixth or seventh rounder in there if you wanted to. Uh, but I think I really want DJ to stay. I would love for them to make like a compelling offer to DJ, but
I guess my question is,
from
yeah, like
mhm.
I'm with you. He should stay. What needs to change in the wide receiver room? I mean, really?
Nothing. That's why I
Right.
would love for them to run it back, but I have already seen it amongst the fan base where there's a split, right? There's a split between people who love DJ Chark and they think he's a great culture fit. They think he late in the season he started to click with Goff and
I,
proved himself to be reliable. But then you have people that are like DJ Chark takes away from Jamison Williams.
it's a team. It's
And
a team game. I don't care. Jameson needs to prove his mettle. Like he needs to prove it, man. Right now, like he needs a full season. He had part of his season. You can't. Anybody talking about like that? Oh, Chark's gonna take away from J-Mo. We haven't even seen J-Mo, right? Ben Johnson. Like if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Like what? Why do we need to break the
yeah,
band up right now? What's the point of that? Like in my opinion, this gets me fired up because it's like what's wrong with that? It's a team game. No, if J-Mo's crying on the sidelines to get the ball, that's a J-Mo problem. And that's coaching they'll have to solve that. They'll have to figure that out. But like to me, like, yes, is J-Mo super talented? Sure. Yet to see a ton of that, but hopefully we see it this season. But Chark should stay. I mean, leader, I mean, because the guys are going to get injured. That's the other thing too. Injuries.
yeah.
Come on. Like, look at all the injuries we've had in that room, you know. So I just, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't know why people. I mean, that just sounds like a. That's the other thing too. JMO, Chark gonna take away from JMO. No, Amon-Ra, like
I don't think
it's a
I don't think so.
team. It's whatever's open against the competitor we're playing. It'll all change every week.
well, and I think that's the part of it that is kind of ridiculous is that they are completely different receivers. Like stylistically, they are completely different.
Right.
And I think JMO having a full off season to work with Goff, I hope he's going to be doing that, right? I think Goff is getting married this off season, probably. So like obviously honeymoon, all that type of stuff. But
Oh
like once Jared's
no.
available, hopefully hopefully he's there, right? Jared has at least the last 2 seasons has proven that he'll go out there and he'll work with his receivers like any good starting quarterback should do if you're not Aaron Rodgers. You'll go out there, you'll work with your receivers. You don't go sit in a closet for a week, you know, in your own feces or whatever
Doing
the hell Aaron's doing.
ayahuasca and just hanging out, I just want to hang out. I'm trying to get
But
deeper.
I do. I think JMO will carve out a role for him, and I think the Lions, again, they showed it this past season. They have no problem mixing and matching their receiver packages to highlight their receivers and to give Goff the best look. I just would love to see them pay DJ Chark. Now I get it. Do I want them to pay him 15 million? No.
No,
No, because
no.
this is another group that is run by committee, and Amon-Ra is going to get the bulk of the touches just because like he fits Jared's style the best.
Right.
But it goes back to what I said back when they traded TJ, right? Which was my only thing with them trading TJ was that I thought having TJ Hawkinson on the field helped open up things for everybody else because you had more weapons to contend with. I think if you just let a DJ Chark walk away, yes, you have a Jameson Williams that can step in, but then you still have a void. Like you went from having what 4 good receivers to now having 3, and you have to figure out where that fourth is going to come from. And I don't like the idea of gambling on that,
There's
with this offense.
I'm with you. Like why but that's the thing. You create an unknown then. Right? You're
Yeah.
basing your decision on an unknown. Right? We know what we've seen. DJ Chark can do it, right? Was he amazing every game? No. But he was amazing when called upon. He did well.
Would you have a problem playing? Let's put it this way:
Yeah.
if the Lions offered him, he made 10 million this past season, 1 year, $10 million deal.
Yeah.
If the Lions bumped that up to 12, let's
I
say it was a
I don't
2 year,
care.
$24 million deal,
No.
he gets 12 million a
12.
year.
No. No. I don't think that's an issue. I also think you can incentivize the heck out of that contract like Jamal's, right? I mean, come on. Like there's ways in order to stack this where it's not really against the cap. You could make it 11 mil, up it a mil, and then have these incentives, which are realistic, right? Like, can't you do that? Like realistic
Well, yeah,
incentives.
I think
Doesn't that not count against the cap, or am I just a dumb?
no. I think you're right on that. I think certain
Right?
incentives can not count. Yes, incentives don't always count against the cap. I think you could absolutely do something for like
Like
again
just
games played,
get creative with
receptions.
it. Right. I mean, don't make it a huge like games played, like just do 10. There you go. Like I'm just saying like what can you do to be creative to get these guys paid to also keep them because he is a culture guy, right? That was a big part of him is he in Jacksonville, that was a nightmare and we rehabbed him. Right? You also got to take into consideration he should be even better next year. Right? Like just
Yeah,
mentally like all that he went through.
yeah. He's a player. He's young. NFL still stands for not for long, and I completely understand any player that would want to go and make as much money as they possibly can for as long as they can. But DJ Chark does feel like the type of guy who would be like, you know what? Well, he did it. He did it to come here the first time.
right.
I think if I remember correctly, DJ Chark was offered more money from other teams, but he chose here. And so if I'm DJ Chark and I'm his representatives, the only thing I'm asking of Brad Holmes is a longer line of commitment, right? I did the 1 year deal. I get it. I wasn't healthy the whole
Yeah.
time, but when I was there, I was I contributed. Can I get 2? Can I get 3 years? Can I get a little more commitment because I want to be here for the long haul?
I think that's what they'll do. I think the longer they can do it, the less they can pay him.
I
Right?
agree. Yeah,
You're
because you can
committing.
also like, yeah, you
Right.
can kind of like stack up the contract in such a way
So I'm
where you
saying,
can
yeah,
backload it.
right. First 2 years this, third year this.
Yeah.
So I do think they keep him. I mean, again, right? Ben Johnson's back. Do not break up the band. The band got into a rhythm. It's fine. We looked great. We beat the Packers. We had a couple bad games, but like, let's put together a full season with this cast. Like, I know everybody, it's like now new, fresh toys, whatever, but like, no, this team is still new. These players are still, newer for us. Like, I just really think people need to be patient. I really think that we need to be patient. I don't know that we need to do a ton for wide receivers this year at all. I really don't.
Yeah.
Unless somebody, I do think, yeah, I mean, everybody contributed, right? Like Khalif Raymond, like, dude, like, played the best he could possibly play.
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely afford to add some depth, right? Quintus
Right.
Cephas once again had a year where he didn't finish the season. Trinity Benson struggled with an injury. So
Yeah,
like,
those guys,
yes, you
that's
need some
different.
depth.
Right. We need
But
depth,
again,
but we
like,
don't know. The starting crew is there, in
yeah,
my
I think you got
opinion.
to keep your top four intact. And I think you got to
Yeah.
do that. You have to try to do that by any means necessary.
Yep.
Because again, DJ Chark is probably the best receiver in free agency. The next one is maybe Darius Slayton, depending on what you think Darius Slayton has. But DJ's a culture fit. He has great. He was starting to get in that
Right.
rhythm and have a great rapport with Goff. The receiver room loves him. I'm with you. Like, don't
It's
spike the
just
Kool-Aid.
don't overthink it. And I don't think the team will, right? I think this is a depth year, right? We're going to draft for depth. We're going to free agency for depth. I do think that we need some pieces like we talked about. I do think a quarterback for sure we need to talk about. Running backs, right? Quarterback, running
Yeah,
back,
and offensive line.
O line, invest in that. And then obviously defense wherever, everywhere.
Oh yeah,
So
no, like I was gonna say next week when we
just
talk
racks
defense,
on racks
there's
on racks of defense.
yeah, next
Right.
week when we talk defense, there's way more players where it's like, yeah, you can just let that guy go.
Right. And I do want to talk, I'll do some research. Who is available in free agency? Who can we score from these defenses? Like that's something I think that might be interesting because, right, it would be nice
Yeah.
to get somebody that's proven it, right? Like that we know that's not a question mark. It's not a draft pick, right? Because we need, I love what we have, but leadership, right? Linebackers, we need
Linebackers,
some beasts on some more beasts.
impactful.
Yeah.
Again, Bugs and McNeil were nice, but I would still love to see like an impactful defensive tackle in there. But again, we'll talk about that next week because I actually have I have a question that I don't want to ask here because it'll lead into like a whole nother discussion about what I think the Lions could or should do with defensive tackle.
Okay. What's up?
I'll just say this: like, there's a specific defensive prospect that the Lions want. I don't think they'll get because I don't think he'll fall to the Lions at 6. If you can't get that defensive prospect at 6, would you be better off trading that pick for a veteran defensive tackle that's still young but could be very good?
Okay, and you don't want to name names?
No, I don't want to name names.
Why not?
I'll tell you off air. I'll tell you who I'm talking about.
Okay. That's what's up. Y'all gotta wait. I'm gonna find out.
Gives you look exactly. See, that's a tease. That gives you
I'm
incentive
gonna
to come
find
back
out. Y'all
next
gotta
week.
wait. Yeah, tune in next week for the defense conversation.
But
Okay.
yeah, man.
All right. Yeah, there's a lot they can do. We need help. Help.
But yeah, man. Real quick in the chat, let me just check really quick.
Oh yeah, real
Mark
quick.
LeBay.
While we're checking in the chat, anybody we missed? Who on the chat? Who's listening? Who do you want to see? Who do you want to go away? What do you think? You got a couple minutes. Let
So
us know.
yeah, so Mark LeBay. So I so wanted to see Decker, Jonah, Ragnar, Big V, and Sewell play together. Again, yeah, that's as good as this offensive line was, like we never got to see again, that tandem really play together much in the
Right.
season. So again, I could always see this coaching staff be still very tempted by that possibility. Um, Again, the run blocking on that right side would set a whole new precedent or set a new standard, says Mark LeVay. I think if Big V is cut, the Lions will get a right guard replacement in free agency, not the first 2 rounds of this draft. Again, I don't know who's available in free agency, but again, I think whether it's a starter or depth, I think they have to draft somebody. And maybe it's not in the first 2 rounds. Like I said, I think you can find offensive line depth
Right.
literally anywhere. I think Jonah was like a third or fourth round pick,
Yeah, I think that's
and you
a
see
lot
where
of
he's at.
right. I think a lot of it is the skill set and the coaching, right? I mean, these
Yeah,
guys got to be coached into to doing the right thing. I think they got to have a good base. You got to get somebody with a good base and good skills that can stay
yeah.
healthy, right? I mean, so okay, all
And
right,
then finally, DJ Chark is a good culture fit. In addition to playmaker, you need 2 guys who can stretch in case one gets injured.
right,
Agreed. I
yeah,
think it's another reason why you still kind of need DJ. I get it. You don't want to get yourself in a Kenny Galladay situation where you've paid a dude a lot of money and it
right.
doesn't pan out. But I also think DJ isn't Kenny Galladay. I think he's proven that he's consistent. I think you have to worry about the injuries and stuff like that. But when he was there, he was effective.
Well, also, right, we can talk injuries. We got a new fitness, right?
Oh
Is
yeah,
it
yeah,
right?
yeah. New
So
director of health and
thank, I mean,
something.
yeah, we've had some injuries. Hopefully, we can get over that. So yeah, we got a new health and fitness coach for the team. So that's awesome. Do you know anything about him, Miko? Anything real quick
I
for
do
the group?
not,
All right, I don't
not
either. We'll
no.
we'll talk about it next week. We'll do some research, but
I mean, all I can say is that like again, based off of the tweet that Dave Burkett sent out, like this is a guy that's very well respected in like the NFL for his treatments and like how he goes about, getting players healthy, getting players in shape. So yeah, I think John said it really well in our group text. This hire plus redoing the field,
yeah.
um, it really communicates to the players like, hey, we are trying to do everything we possibly can to keep you guys healthy and to give you guys the ability to go out and perform at a high level and not have to worry about specifically like these lower leg injuries, right? Which is, I believe, like one of the bigger concerns with the turf that they were playing on is like, hey, ACLs, Achilles. Um, I mean, I think concussions to an extent as well, just because turf is not as cushiony as traditional grass. I don't know if that's fixed with this new turf, but I mean, yeah, like those are putting your players' health at the top of the list, and not just your players, but your like competitors as well, putting their health.
Well, I think that anytime you can spend money at the facilities for the players, that feels good. I remember that, right? Anytime you get the
Yeah,
donors to donate, whether it's college, pro, like you just it feels good, man, that they care. They care about the team, they care about where the lines are going, right? And they have the money to invest it because right, they're doing better. So,
yeah.
um no, so that's all good. That's all good. Anything else? Any listeners, this is your final minute warning. Any other comments, questions, concerns? We appreciate everybody today, though, contributing.
Yeah,
What up, Luke?
make sure to hit that like button if you are in the
Yeah,
chat, if you're sitting watching. Again, that really helps out our channel. That really helps out us. It gives us again instant feedback to like what you guys are thinking, what you guys are feeling. If you guys are just commenting, I will check those, after the broadcast and we'll respond to those as well. But also we are streaming on YouTube and Twitch.
we are
So
on
again,
Twitch. Hit us up on Twitch if you like Twitch too. We're gonna do
yeah,
a lot more there as well.
yeah, so feel free to go and follow us on Twitch, subscribe if you feel so inclined.
It's just questionable
Um,
teas. What is it? What is the Twitch?
yeah, there's actually a link in the description of any of our YouTube videos that leads to our Twitch channel. So it's like it's just questionable teas, yeah, on
Okay,
Twitch.
that's what's up. All right. Well, that was great. That was good. That was a good little catch up after the Super
Yes,
Bowl.
sir.
Yeah. Rihanna. What do you think about Rihanna? We didn't talk about that.
Great. Like
I thought it was solid. I thought it was cool that they were floating like that. I thought they finally figured out how to do a Super Bowl set that like made
it
sense with the space.
so this is the thing, right? Like I love simplistic halftime shows. Like not a ton of wardrobe changes. She wasn't like I mean, obviously she's clearly pregnant with baby number two, so she's not trying to like do a
Yeah,
whole lot.
that was an
But
announcement in and of itself.
right, but it was a great halftime show. I didn't realize like how many Rihanna songs I actually like, and I'm gonna say this right now because I don't think we'll get too much backlash in our chat. I don't think. Um,
For what? You liking the Rihanna songs?
no, I just think like
She got some good techno tracks. I mean,
listen,
she got
this is
upbeat
what I'll say.
tracks.
This is what I was gonna say. People need to stop acting like Rihanna can't hang with Beyonce when it comes for hit. Like we gotta stop this narrative.
I mean, she has some bangers, man. Rihanna.
She does. I don't know why there's a group of people out there that believe that Rihanna can't hold a candle to Beyonce. And me and my wife were just like, nah, she can.
She
Like
can. She a billionaire, man. She making that money. She's a
that's how
B
much of a boss
with
she
a
is. She's a
B.
she doesn't have to. She didn't have to do the halftime show. She's already a billionaire. She's like, nah, I'll do it for the one time.
Yeah, all right. I'll give the fans some.
But yeah.
Oh, and then indie commercials. I thought the commercials were overall weak. So shout out to DMAC and 1-800-CALL-SAM. Those were funny. DMAC was in there. So shout out to Mac. What's up, fam?
Obviously, like the Tubi commercial is getting a lot of traction. I don't know how people didn't know that was fake. Like,
Yeah, I don't either. That was that was a
I don't
little
know, maybe because I knew I was watching like on my cable box. Like, I know this isn't my Fire Stick just
right.
tripping on me. Um, I thought the Dunkin' Donuts commercial with Ben Affleck was kind of funny. Just with like J Lo pulling up at the end and just being like, "Oh, so this is what you do when you say you go to work."
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
So the worst one was I think it was a Chevy commercial. It was like, I could do this in a weekend. What are you doing? Spending like $10 million for an ad. It was just like a diamond cross edit of like their trucks. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what is this? What are you doing? Like with this, no thought behind this. Like just cut us a cool commercial. I'm like, what's that?
I felt like
What?
I will say that I feel like Doritos and Mountain Dew let us down. I feel like they usually have really good like Super Bowl commercials. I don't even know if they did one this year, and I was kind of disappointed by that because that's usually where I get my laughs between Doritos
Yeah,
and
Doritos.
yeah,
Yeah.
Doritos and Mountain Dew usually
No,
have
they
some
don't. They
have some
don't
good
have to
promos.
because of the pandemic. Their stock is so high. They don't need to.
No, it's not because of the pandemic. It's because weed is now legal. They know like people are buying Doritos and Mountain Dew. Like it doesn't matter. There's a dispensary on every corner.
Yeah, like nah.
We
We
selling
don't
this
even need
Mountain
to
Dew.
add anymore. No, there's no ads needed. We don't even spend that money. We just put that as bonuses. Like
Yeah,
yeah.
just put a corner store next to that puff over there. We'll sell some stuff.
Oh, that's funny. All right. Anything else? That's about it for tonight.
No, man, that's good.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Again, please like, follow, subscribe. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Yes, we are on Twitch. We're gonna do a lot over in Twitch. We gotta make some. We got some icons coming. We got all that good stuff coming. So more fun.
Emotes, all the
Emotes.
stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna also do that so we can raffle off apparel to those with
Hmm.
right with the most emotes and all of that good
Yeah,
stuff.
who knows? You may get something special like the jersey that Scotty's wearing. Maybe
That's
you
right.
get a questionable jersey custom made.
We're doing so we got some basketball jerseys. We're doing all sorts of stuff. We're getting
So
in
yeah,
it.
we have a lot of stuff that we can raffle off to you guys. But yeah, so definitely go over to Twitch, hit the follow button. If you feel so inclined, if you can afford to do it, definitely subscribe. That'll help you. Like when we are streaming, you don't have to worry about seeing ads. And as soon as we get our emotes set up, that is like a top priority for over here. We will get that taken care of so that you guys have some cool stuff to engage with us with.
Yeah. All right, Meko. Thanks. I want to thank everybody listening. I want to thank the fan. I want to thank the crew. Yeah, man, that was a good NFL season as it is wrapped up. Now it's off season and the draft.
Yeah, super excited for the off season. Again, thank you guys for coming by. Thank you guys for watching. Huge shout out to my wife and my girls. And again, huge shout out to you guys for just again coming by, kicking with us late at night here. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, love it. And we're gonna get some more guests. We're gonna get Luke G on the show. We're gonna get
We got to tap Pride of Detroit.
Pride of Detroit. We're coming for you.
Eric and Jeremy.
Come on, guys. All you guys. Yeah.
Their expertise, knowledge. We need it.
Yeah, Chris. All of you guys. All right. So, all right. Thank you all for tuning in. Again, please like, follow, subscribe. This is the Questionable Podcast. Out.